great is His faithfulness. They're new every morning. What an amazing concept. That means when you see the sun come up every day, is guaranteed you're going to have mercy of God. That's the assurance today that if you wake up tomorrow morning around 5:30, you're going to see that sun come up. You're going to look up there. God didn't consume you. Jonah deserved to be consumed by God. But there in return, the Bible said, I prayed toward the holy temple, and there the Ark of the Covenant, the mercy seat sat, and there Jonah was reflecting on the mercies of God. There are many problems we face in our daily lives, but I remind you, there's only certain things that only the mercy of God can resolve. And Jonah prayed, depending on the mercy of God. Verse number 8 of the book of Jonah, chapter 2. Look what it says. Look what it says in verse number 8. Look at another character of Jonah's prayer. They that have served lying vanities forsake their own mercy. But I will sacrifice unto thee with the voice of thanksgiving. I will pay that I have vowed. Salvation is of the Lord. Almost like he's shouting there at the end of verse number 9. Salvation is of the Lord. And you notice his attitude has shifted. So, I will sacrifice unto thee the voice of thanksgiving. I will pay that I have vowed. I'll go back and do what I was supposed to be doing. I'll be thankful again. Jonah's prayer restored him back to where? To the presence of God and to the Word of God. And Jonah was running from God from the very first time. Then chapter 2, now he's coming back to the presence of God. What an amazing thing. Sure, we know that he's not completely right with his attitude, but he was in a good starting place again. Remember, Jonah was running away from? Jonah was rebelling against the spoken word of God, and Jonah had fled from the presence of God. Now we see the verses that we just read, that he's willing to sacrifice and pay the vow that he had not paid, and now he's willing to shout, salvation is of the Lord. Jonah, who was far away from God, is now being restored to the presence of God. May I remind you, true prayers, when you're at the bottom of life, will restore you back to the will of God in His presence. Genuine, sincere, humble, contrite prayers will restore you back to the presence of God and the will of God. God wanted Jonah to go to Nineveh to tell of the people the salvation of the Lord. And now, at the end of verse number 9, he's shouting out, the salvation is of the Lord. And you know, chapter 3, what happens? He goes there to Nineveh and preaches the salvation of the Lord. And now Jonah's prayer has brought about the presence of God again in his life. And Jonah's prayer now brought him back to the will of God. So when you're at the bottom of life, your priority is simply this: to pray to be restored and to be back in His presence and in His Word.